Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the PowettPlay Podcast. It's me, as Jordan, as always, and obviously with Kieran Powell. And today we are going to be previewing the Super 50.
Indeed. Starts next week. Looking forward to that. I think it's a great opportunity for all those guys playing in the Super 50 tournament. I think each tournament that comes up becomes sort of more and more important as the years go on because of the amount of opportunities and the amount of cricket that the West Indies are playing. You look at the Super 50, you look at the West Indies 50 over team, and you'd see there are lots of gaps that need plugging, lots of opportunities available. So if guys go and really put their hand up, I think that it could be not maybe life-changing opportunities for these guys because you never know what could happen if you get onto the international stage.
Exactly, and that's the thing with World Cups as frequent as they are. You know, you are only one big tournament away from making you representing. This is just across. This is not just a West Indies thing. This is in general, and all of a sudden, what opportunities come your way? With the change of the format, and obviously we spoke about them taking out the CCC and obviously the academy. Part of the comment was that they felt as though it would strengthen the tournament. Obviously, I disagree with that. With the format being as it is now, what other points do you make of it being obviously just over a 10-day period?
I think it's going to be interesting because from the squads that I've seen the Leewards have just announced their team as well. From the squads that I've seen, a lot of teams have gone with younger teams. Younger teams playing in such a short, condensed tournament is... I don't know if it's going to make for exciting cricket, but I don't expect the scores to necessarily be the highest scores because you're playing so much cricket back to back without rest and without experience. But let's see. You expect the pitches to get a lot of wear and tear over a short space of time as well. So after the first, let's say, 3 games, you expect. Then it's only 5 games in the league stage, and then is there a semi-finals or is it straight to the finals?
I think it's straight to the finals. I think it's just a straight up round robin, and the
top 2 teams go through to the finals. So 6 games. That's a tough one. Especially coming from years of having double rounds or even having 10 games to get through a tournament. So to have 6 games is very short, concise. It's going to be intense on it. Trinidad is always hot at the best of times, so recovery is going to be a big part of it as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out.
In terms of obviously like the wickets in Trinidad with the 3 grounds that they're going to be using, do they differ much at all?
From my experience, they do.
Right, okay.
Obviously, personally, a huge fan of batting at Brian Lara.
Yeah, you do like
tournaments. I think that it's probably the most even surface in terms of whether you bat first or bat second.
Right, okay.
Because generally, it's day-night matches, so morning moisture and all that stuff doesn't necessarily play as big a role.
Right.
I think most teams sort of go with the trend of chasing because there's heavy night dew, and so the spinners find it difficult to grip the ball and what you don't get as much in the night. I think playing at UWE, it's very low, very slow. It's not necessarily highest scoring ground, but again that depends because the pitches towards the east are probably better. If you get some of the strips on the western side of the ground, then that's where it becomes low and slow. And Queen's Park Oval is a fair game or fairer game than UWE, but those are generally day games, and the morning moisture tends to play a heavy role in that. So you'd look to bat second and chase in most of those early round games whilst the pitches are still good. Once the pitches start to deteriorate, then you probably want to be batting first and setting a total, scuffing up the pitch as much as possible. Obviously, with the wear and tear already playing a part and letting your spinners sort of go to work.
Yeah, I think it is only the Brian Lara Cricket Academy that's hosting the day nighters, and the final will it be in a day nighter as well. So what you mentioned there, from obviously some of the squads haven't been announced, some have. But as a group of players, which ones are you looking for big performances from, really?
Well, I'll tell you, the openers in this tournament have a really good opportunity because you look at the West Indies team. Currently, you have Brandon King, who's been out of form a bit right now. I guess because of an excessive workload, something that he's probably not used to playing Test cricket as well. So he'll have to be rested and rotated. Evan Lewis has been injured for a long period of time, and so there's opportunities at the top. Obviously, 3 and 4 with Casey Carty and Shea Hope pretty much locked in. I'd say with 5 in Sherfield and Rutherford as well. I know he's currently, not going through the best of form, but you'd like to think that those 3 guys all averaging over 40 should be pretty much locked in. So I'll say the openers and sort of that middle order number 6 slot. Someone can put in strong performances there. You never know what could happen, but I think the openers in general, and if there are any fast bowlers obviously they're looking for leg spinners as well.
Yeah, I was going to say,
those are the roles that I think that could really benefit from having a strong tournament. Someone that I think that could benefit from having a strong tournament as well is an off-spin all-round player as well, because Rosson being Test match captain, you're going to have to manage his workload.
Yeah,
and so if you can identify an off-spinning all-rounder, and that's what sort of, I guess, upset me with the whole Kevin Sinclair and Guyana situation. Now, I know they're saying that it's a disciplinary issue or whatever the case is, but the easiest thing to do is say, disciplinary issue, I'm not picking you, which is generally the trend in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
What is the disciplinary issue and what are we doing as a society to help this guy? I've had my own issues with Kevin Sinclair, and then me and Kevin Sinclair had a sit-down talk at breakfast for like over an hour. Wow. And me and Kevin Sinclair are probably the best of friends. I spoke to him this morning.
Right, okay.
And it's just, these young guys, everybody doesn't come from the same background. Everybody doesn't have the same upbringing. So you can't expect everyone to react to things in the same way or the way that you would, but you have to continue to mold and shape these guys. I mean, you look at, for example, early Ricky Ponting, early Herschel Gibbs. They went through a lot with South Africa and Australian cricket, and they had to rehab those 2 guys a lot. You're talking about West Indian cricket, where you'd have heard stories of the great players doing great things, but you'd have heard so many stories of them outside the field, off the field of cricket, and so many issues that they would have had to have rectified as well. Definitely. So, you can't be asking people to be perfect human beings. You can ask them to continue to improve as a person on a daily basis. But, to strip, I don't ever like stripping young people of opportunities, because, again, as I alluded to in the Vernon Springer episode, Kofi James, the Leeward Islands assistant coach, is his head coach at his club in Antigua.
Yeah.
And they couldn't control him. And they asked me to speak. And that's the best season Kofi's ever had. And I didn't have any problems at all with Kofi. Like, Kofi was...
No.
And I know what Kofi is like, and what he could be like. But once you give people a certain type of guidance and make them feel assured and comforted and wanted, then that's when you get the best out of people. And so I think it's more so not looking at the performance of the individual on the cricket field, but trying to understand them as individuals away from cricket. That helps you to understand what triggers them and what makes them have the reactions or behave the way that they do. And then you can sort of incorporate them into a team setting and society. So I think that's more so the way to go, because there's no point anyone telling me a year and a half ago Kevin Sinclair was good enough to be a West Indies cricketer. A year ago. They were playing in Pakistan, and no, he's not good enough to make a guy in a 50 over team that's not even at full strength. That's hampering West Indies cricket. That doesn't make sense to me. Much like Hayden Walsh not being selected for the Leeward Islands doesn't make sense to me. Much like Shakir Paris not being selected for Barbados. He's just played for West Indies A in the summer. Made 96 against South Africa. Looked good, scored runs, made runs in the 4-day tournament. And I think that I keep harping on, I think that the West Indies are missing a trick with him, because I think that he's someone that will play a vital role in West Indies cricket in the future. He's a very young guy, but I think he's very talented. Lots of raw potential and ability, but there's no one harnessing him. And if you're going to pick, no disrespect to Craig, but if you're going to pick Craig Brathwaite to play in a Super 50 tournament in front of a Shakir Paris, that tells me that Barbados as a nation aren't serious about cricket. Not 50 over cricket for sure, not regional 50 over cricket. That doesn't make any sense at all, to have a Craig Brathwaite in a Barbados Super 50 team. And as I said, no disrespect to Craig, but our thinking as a team once playing against Craig is to not try and get him out, to have him bat as long as possible, because he's going to absorb balls, whereas you have a young, talented guy that just played A-team cricket, and he can't make a Barbados 50 over squad. So, things like these that really stand out in terms of not even individual performances, but you look at West Indies cricket holistically, and people that could benefit West Indies cricket going forward not being a part of tournaments like this, it doesn't make sense.
No, and I think obviously the point you mentioned there about Kevin Sinclair and the point you mentioned about Kofi James is this is when you're out of mentorship, and this is when you're out of man management within each of the respective franchises. It's your duty as coach, it's your duty as people within senior positions to look after them, and you take them under your wing, and you make sure that they're performing at the best of their ability and they're happy in the way that they are mentality wise. That is part of your responsibility. It's the same if you take it out of from a work perspective in a business environment. When you work with a team of people, it's also your responsibility to manage them. That's part of what you've got to do. All people from different walks of life and different challenges that they come across, but ultimately from a working environment, you have to nurture and help and develop them and make sure that they can flourish and become the best at what they at their career path that they choose. It's
100%, and that's where as sub territories, like, they have to do a better job of looking after these players, because it could be a situation where players perform in those sub-territorial competitions and not being selected, that starts to demotivate players from wanting to play cricket. So you're already struggling with your player pool, your talent pool being small. If you're demotivating guys from playing that have performed, you're going to have less and less, and other people see these things as well. So people seeing these things happening in front of them and knowing that, look, if they're treating him like this, and these are guys that have played for the West Indies at some representative level, what chance do I have as somebody that's just coming up through a system? You want to encourage people as much as possible through all walks of life in society to be a part of the game.
Yeah, and the point you made about Shakir Paris as well is that by doing what you do, you're at risk of losing him. We spoke obviously about people's livelihoods and careers, and obviously it's the job. When a player, this is not a player who you've spoke about him before, but this is obviously someone who you mentioned is scored at A-team level, which is obviously your pathway to international. So he's performing at that level, but you're not picking him at that level. Well, where does that leave him? Where does he go? And you do risk losing him. You might, you look at where you might think, well, where do I go? Do I come over? I don't know. You're at risk of losing him, and it's not right.
And that's why you see players sort of take franchise opportunities, because when things like this happen, it's disheartening, because at the end of the day, John, like, these guys are young people, they want to play cricket, whatever the case is. But they also have to provide a livelihood for themselves, and in some cases, and in most cases, provide have some sort of input towards their family's livelihood as well.
Absolutely.
And so they need to earn a living. And how do they do that? If they're not being selected here, they have to go somewhere else and play where they're being given the opportunities.
No, that's it. In terms of other tournaments, when I looked at obviously like some of the squad list, how important do you see this series for Jewel Andrew, given his situation and obviously not being part of the West Indies squad anymore?
How important that is? How important is this series for Joel Andrew? I would say not very. He's 18 years old. So
fair point.
It's not be all and end all. Do you want him to have a good series? Yes. Do you want him to have a good season? Of course.
Yeah.
I think for me, it'd be interesting because the Leewards have named Kareem Ago as captain, which I'm in favor of. I'm a big fan of Kareem. I'm happy that he's finally getting playing time, but to see him captain the Leeward Islands in that breakout league, I didn't know that he had that in him. So to see him be given this opportunity, I think it would be good. Alan Bowen Tuckett has been named vice captain as his first time in the Leeward Islands team. So I'm going to start calling him the Messiah because you just walked into the team and know you're vice captain. But no, it's good to see them start forming a new young core of leadership. And to me, that signals that definitely they're looking to move in this direction, which means for the senior players, you're gonna be closer to my side than that side than you realize. You're gonna be over here talking with me very soon.
Well, we can't have him on the podcast because it's a career ender, isn't it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's signaling that they're looking to transition and go fully in that direction, which I can understand to some extent, because if you're playing year after year, you've been getting close, but you're not getting past the threshold of semifinals or winning finals, then at some point in time you're going to have to start giving opportunities to younger guys. And there are younger guys there. There's an abundance of talent in the Leeward Islands. There's an abundance of talent in the Caribbean on a whole. Don't necessarily look to throw young guys in because they're young. Throw them in because they're capable. Don't just pick young teams without having senior players in them, because they still need to be molded and guided. But I think that the Leewards have a sort of sweet spot now where you've seen the likes of Casey Carty, the Justin Graves, obviously Alzari when he's available, Daniel Doom now being senior players. So, you look at the likes of, let's say, a Raheem Cornwall, a Jamal Hamilton. These are two guys that will probably be moved on from within sort of, maybe if not this year, probably within the next 2 years or so. So you continue to have an evolving ecosystem of players. Sorry, what was your main question? I went away from your point.
No, the point that you went away with, it was, I enjoy, it was good to talk about, but my point was about how the importance of, obviously, from a dual Andrew perspective. But obviously, what your point is that ultimately it's not because of the age he's at anyway.
Yep, he's only 18. He's got another 18 years of cricket in him. What I want to see from Joel, from a Kareem Ago, from let's see, who else is Mikhail Louis, is sort of what improvements have you made from since the last time I've seen you. It's not necessarily just the output in terms of runs, but what technical improvements have you made? What technical improvements have you made? Are you more game aware? Do you understand situations in 50 over cricket? How do you go about putting a score together? How can you be consistent in a tournament like this over a short period of time against an elevated level of bowling compared to what you had faced in the Leeward Islands tournament? So those are things that I'll be looking for, as opposed to just the final output. Obviously, the runs you want to see, but as I said, because this is such a young team, such an inexperienced team, that the Leeward Islands are going to be fielding. I think it's more so about seeing how they can develop this unit for 2-3 years down the road.
And speaking of, obviously, from a young perspective, obviously, with Michael McKenzie and then with Navin Badesi, what could either of them two do to really put themselves in a real strong position to be on the plane to go to the World Cup?
For me, absolutely nothing.
Right,
I'm not taking either of them to the World Cup because I think that it's a bit too late now to blood them. I think, if anything, the West Indies could be looking to start grooming both of them for future assignments. You look at the 50 over World Cup in 2027.
Yes.
You look at West Indies cricket going forward, Test cricket, all these other things.
Yeah.
18 tours. That's where my mind will go to first before I'm even thinking about T20 World Cup and having either of these guys play, because I don't think that, it would be fair on them. They wouldn't have had enough game time at a high enough standard to be able to compete at that level, in my opinion. So that's how I'd be looking at these two guys. And as I said again, because so many teams have picked younger players, you can't necessarily gauge their performances as a good measuring stick. Once they come up against more senior players, if you had more players like the Shea Hopes, etc., playing, guys that are proven world-class quality players, the Evan Lewis, etc., that can put them under immense pressure and expose flaws, then you'll be able to tell how they react at a closer scale to what international cricket would be like.
Yeah, I get that. So obviously we can't really do a preview without sort of predict some form of predictions. So with, obviously, from a batting standpoint, from a bowling standpoint, who do you see sort of topping the, I'm not saying to predict the chart, but who do you see becoming leading run scorer, wicket taker, really?
Well, Justin Graves has obviously been that for past few years in terms of leading run scorer. I'm really at a loss right now as to who to go for with either leading run scorer or wicket taker. I know that the leading wicket taker is going to be a spinner, because that's the nature of Caribbean cricket.
Yeah,
I would be delighted if it's a seamer of any sort. I saw again, I think Alzari was preliminarily in the Leeward Islands team, but he's been pulled, and Chamiko Landerfoot has been sort of put in as his replacement.
Right.
There's a young left-arm seamer, I think, by the name of Asim Challenger, if I'm not mistaken, from St. Kitts.
Right.
I like him. He's a good one to look forward to in the future. But in terms of for the tournament, I'm honestly not sure who the leading wicket taker or run scorer will be. I mean, having said that it's going to be a spinner, I'd love to see Gudakesh Modi get his form back. And go and dominate the tournament and start rebuilding his confidence that way. But in terms of run scores, I'm not sure.
And then, obviously, as a prediction as who will end up lifting the trophy, thoughts?
Wild card.
Wild card.
No, I can't. The thing is, as I said, like, most teams are so new to me. The players are so experienced that you can. It's not players that I know. It's not players that I can say they've had a track record of performing in this tournament. I think Trinidad might win the tournament, given what I'm saying. I think they have probably the most experienced, most balanced team.
Yeah.
Joshua De Silva will be looking to
big time.
Okay, so that's who I'm going to pick as a leading run scorer. I'm going to put Joshua De Silva.
I think that's where I would have hedged my bets, to be fair.
Yeah. Don't disappoint me, Joshua.
No, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And like you said, he kind of wants people to be dominating. Like someone like Joshua De Silva, you'd like to see him, go and score, big runs and dominate the game. I'm with you as well from a bowling perspective. I would like to see a seamer be up there from the wicket counts, because you do see it, like we said, from a spin bowling perspective, and that's when. If I was a betting man, you'd look at someone like, Jimbo, for instance, from wicket wise, would be up, he's going to be up there.
Well, Jimbo is gonna be up there
Yeah,
naturally. As
that's
long as he has breath, he will take wickets. Um, so that never comes to mind. Sure, that's just
just a
automatic.
thing.
A dark horse, I'll say for the runs category or two. I will put Sunil Ambris, who
Right. Okay.
generally is very steady in 50 over cricket, but he needs to score a century. And I think Jamar Hamilton had a good tournament last year. Can he repeat it?
Repeat it
I'd
again.
like to. I'm gonna put him there to put pressure on him. Jamar, get it done. Get it done for me. So I'm gonna. This is his motivation. I'm asking him to get it done.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, good to get that debrief done. Discussing obviously the Super 50, but do let us know what you think. Who do you see winning it? Who do you see being up there runs wise, wickets wise? Kieran mentioned a couple of dark horses there. Who do you see going potentially performing that's come out of the talent pool of the Caribbean cricketers? So yeah, do let us know. Do keep liking, do keep subscribing, and see you all soon. Thank you.